to another Soundstage. I'm JC. Have you ever heard of Urbana, Maryland? It's a small, sleepy rural town in Frederick County in Maryland. Now, this town is really a farm area, a lot of farms, a lot of farm animals, a lot of farm life. You know, there's some big business interspersed about, but it's a small, rural, sleepy town. One which you probably wouldn't expect would be any gun violence whatsoever, but gun violence did erupt there. Today, we're going to be talking to the father of a 16-year-old that was a victim of gun violence in Urbana, probably by gang members. The 16-year-old's name is Chase Lancaster. His father's name is Alex Lancaster, and Chase is currently in the hospital as he was just an innocent bystander at an event where some gang members came in, started shooting up the place, and Chase, unfortunately, was in the path of one of those bullets. So we're going to talk to his dad, Alex Lancaster. He's going to be filling us in on what happened, how Chase is doing, and what we can do to help. Let's go to it. Welcome to another Soundstage. Here's the interview. Approximately about 2 weeks ago, there was a shooting in a town called Urbana, Maryland. Now, this town is a sleepy town. You know, you don't really hear about violence in this town. It's supposed to be a safe town. Nonetheless, there was a shooting involving a 16-year-old, a young man who is just starting his life out. His name is Chase Lancaster, and he was shot that evening in Urbana. Joining us on the show is his father, Alex Lancaster, and we just want to talk to him about what happened and how Chase is doing. How are you, Alex?
I'm doing okay, as well as can be expected for having my son in critical care, one day at a time. Thank you for asking. I'm doing okay.
Yeah. Well, you can go in as much depth as you want. I want you to have the freedom to do that. August the 9th, Friday night, Chase was at an event. How did he get there? And then tell us what happened.
Yes. So the event was for seniors graduating from high school. Everyone's going on their separate ways. They are having their last hurrah, as most seniors do. Chase is a rising junior, very good on the football team, very popular in school, very good kid. He Ubered there with two other friends of his, and seems like many people were going there from many different schools. It was a very large crowd. There were people there from Seneca Valley, Northwest, Damascus, Urbana itself, Clarksburg. There were just lots of people in the area with these minors. And so not unusual for minors to have a party and a get together. So he got there with some friends. And because Chase went to both Seneca Valley and he's currently at Northwest, he was going in between crowds of his two friends. So he would visit with one group, then go to the other group, say, I'll be right back. Well, before we knew it, what I heard is some guys walked up. They were probably 25 years old or just a little less than 25, but much older. And I'm hearing two accounts. I'm not sure which one is accurate, but they were wearing COVID masks and just started firing in the crowd. That's the first account that I heard. The second account is that this was a gang, and they were chasing a rival gang member who fled into the clubhouse, the Urbana clubhouse, and then they started just firing in the crowd after that person. I'm not sure which is true. We don't understand completely what the details are surrounding that. What I do know from people who were there with Chase, it seems like there were people entering it from the front door, and then there were security guards at the Urbana clubhouse. They seemed to be patting people down, according to the kids, but then there were people coming in from the back also, and security guards were not patting those people down. Some people say shots fired off through the back of the clubhouse. People ran outside, and then shots were also fired outside, and that's where Chase got hit in the crowd running from with the crowd in the right direction, trying to run. It was very confusing for all the kids. Chase got hit. He ran back inside as far as he could and back into the clubhouse with the other crowd, then fell to the floor near the steps. Two people that I know of for sure tried to give Chase some aid, put pressure on his wound, and until the police came. And then the next thing I know, he was being flown off to a local trauma center where he is now in critical care.
So now, according to police reports, he was struck in his chest.
That's correct, but that's not true. He was struck in his hip, and actually he was hit directly in his kidney. So his whole right kidney now is gone. They removed it. Of course, you can live with one, but they removed his kidney. The second thing that was injured was his liver, and there was bile leaking out from his liver into his abdomen. And then the third critical thing that was injured was his vena cava. And the vena cava is that main vein that brings blood from everything below your waist, feet, toes, and everything of that nature back up through your chest into your heart. That was completely ruptured. He lost over 100 units of blood. The doctors did not think he would survive that one surgery. Um, and he did. And then they had to go back in again because unfortunately it was not tied off correctly. It was still leaking from the top. They did find it, however, and he's surrounded by a great group of people. And I'll tell you just how good God is that the doctor that did that surgery was no longer on his case and was quickly removed. And a new doctor came in who was very well known for people surviving gunshot wounds that should not survive. So we're thankful that he was put on Chase's case and he actually tied it off successfully. And then Chase started to make a comeback.
Wow. Wow, that's great how God intervened in that situation. So now we're talking about Chase and what happened to him. What about you? You get the phone call.
I get the phone call. I have my daughter with me at my house. At first, I thought it was a joke because Chase jokes a lot and his brother jokes a lot. I got a call from his brother, Dad, Chase got shot. Are you serious, Ty? Yes, Dad, I'm not joking. Chase got shot. Then my phone is blowing up. His friends are calling me. Well, the parents of his friends are calling me. Then I knew it was real.
Yeah.
And at that moment, adrenaline just rushes. The first thing that went into my mind is first secure my daughter. She's 11 years old. She can't come. I have to secure her, take her to a family member's house, make sure she's secure, get the address. I fly there to the crime scene where I'm met by the officers and come to find out after questioning them and finding out where my son went to, the cameras were not on the at the clubhouse in certain areas, where, especially behind the clubhouse where Chase got shot, I believe. There were cameras in the front, but police could not even get surveillance from that, which was very disturbing. So my heart just, I, I had no words. All I knew is I had to get there. I couldn't even see my son. He was already flown in the helicopter. So I did not know to what extent his injuries were until I arrived at the local trauma center and found out he was in critical condition.
Emotionally, surely you were charged. I mean, emotions were high. What was going through your mind before you even saw Chase? I mean, you had to secure your daughter, get to the location of the crime scene, and then still your son's not there. Now you're trying to get to your son. What's going on in your head as a father?
Just all the thoughts of my son from the time he was born. It's like his life flashes before you, you know? And at that time, all the joy of all my love for him just came to the surface of my heart. I knew I could not, I allowed myself to be emotional, but I knew I had to be rational. I knew I had to prepare myself for whatever I was going to hear. So I was just continuing to remind myself to focus on the facts, be a good listener, try to understand what condition he is in, and if it can be fixed. If it can be fixed, how is it going to be fixed? So I was just trying to get factual information. When I showed up at the hospital, before I even showed up at the hospital, I have a good friend who's a trauma surgeon, and I reached out to him and he said, tell me where he's going. And I told him where he was going. He called that trauma center and he had a friend working there, thankfully. And he said, Alex, when you go there, you reach out to this doctor. And that doctor was on, he changed cases and went on Chase's case. And he treated me like royalty. I was so thankful, treated me like I was VIP, gave me updates like almost every half hour. And he brought me eventually to see Chase. I couldn't see him for about 2 to 3 hours. That's how bad it was. When it was time for me to see him, he said, you have to prepare yourself for what you're going to see. And then when I saw him, I could not believe what I saw. His stomach was cut open all the way up to his chest, like two French doors. They had a sponge over his stomach, taking the blood out where he was bleeding from. Wires all in his face, nose, mouth, neck, arms, many tubes inside his body. There he is laying unconscious. And all I could do was hold his hand. The whole crew was amazing. They allowed me to be in there while they were sustaining Chase. And all I could do was just be quiet, and I had no words. I was in shock. I was in shock. All I could do was hold his hand and let them work and just trust things were going to be okay. When his blood pressure began to drop and other things started to happen and become more critical, they had to rush him to the ER. And that's when the first doctor who was working on the case, not my friend who introduced me, not that one, but another doctor, said, he's not going to make it. I just want to prepare you. And I looked at him. I didn't react. I said, thank you. And I just went on, and I just didn't believe him. If it was his time, I was ready to accept it, but I just didn't believe him. When I walked into that room initially, not only was I in shock, but I do have to tell you this. I had so much peace, and I couldn't explain it because my son was there as I described earlier. But I had peace that things were going to be okay. It was not rational because he did not look okay, and he was rushed again to the OR. But I had peace, and I forgot to mention that. I want to say that because that was real. And when that doctor told me he was not going to make it, to be prepared, I just said thank you, and I moved on to talk to other doctors who were telling me what the plan was. And Chase survived that surgery. Then he survived the second surgery, and that doctor was then removed from his case and replaced by another doctor who was very prominent and very skillful, actually the boss of that trauma unit.
Yeah, it brings me a lot of joy to hear that. I mean, it shows how God's hand was in it the entire time. There's a scripture that says, whose report will you believe? And obviously you had enough peace to believe the report of the Lord. No matter what the doctors were saying, God gets the last word. Now, tell us, how is Chase progressing? Now, he has all these wires in him, and so you've seen you've seen the changes from beginning to now. How's he doing?
At this point, Chase is in the best place he's ever been, still in critical condition, but in the best place he's ever been. The doctors and nurses told me there's never a straight trajectory for his improvement. It's going to be like 5 steps forward, 3 steps back, but as long as there are more steps forward than there are going backwards, that is good. And so we always kept that in mind. His mother and I always kept that in mind as he began to progress. So after he got the vena cava tied off, the next concern was that his body began to swell. There was so much potassium in his body, and that can cause a heart attack. And there was so much acid in his blood, the dialysis that he was placed on in the ventilator, a lot of that dialysis was not cleaning that out, and his body began to swell. He looked like the mocha Michelin man. He's mixed. His mother's Caucasian. I am African American. He has dual heritage. And so I call him the mocha Michelin man, just to bring a little smile to my face. And but the doctors had to do something called a fasciotomy. A fasciotomy is a full fasciotomy, means they had to cut his leg along the thighs and the calf on both sides for his body to release that pressure from the swelling. And when they did that, the enzymes in his body and his legs brought the potassium down, and that acid began to be resolved. And so that was great. And then we were like, good, he's stable now. But then they found that there was water around his heart. There shouldn't be water around the heart, because then the heart can't beat the way it should. It needs that full space to beat strong. So the weak side of his heart was weak. And so they had to go take him back for another surgery to put a tube in there to drain that water. And that was successful. And then they knew all this time that bile has been leaking from his liver, but they knew that these other critical things, his heart, the breathing, the kind off of the vein, and all these things were life critical. So then they now had to address his liver, and they put a stent in his liver so that the bile can now go back into his intestine and not go into his body. So they did so much more from that initial surgery. And I did what I did not understand, because they left the bullet inside him because it would be too much of a risk to remove it. But I had no idea, when you get shot, that bullet doesn't just go straight through and stick in wherever it's going to end up. It actually jumps around in your body. I had no idea about that. And that's what caused so much damage from one bullet. And so from that time to where he is now, all the swelling is gone. Thank God, all the swelling is gone. He can open his eyes when they take him out of sedation.
Yes.
And when they ask him when they give commands to him, raise your thumb. Are you feeling pain? Put your thumb up or down. He can do it. Squeeze the hand, blink your eyes. He can do everything right now except for talking right now, because his throat is still so sore from the tube being down in his throat. They did one more surgery today, which was his 8th, that I shared with earlier, and that removed the tubing. That also, like I said, put more another tube in the small intestine so he can get more feeding and nutrition to continue to heal. But they all were surprised at how his body is healing. His body has been responding not like a normal person's body. And so they took him out of a template of what they would normally apply to anyone in this situation. They said, we're just going to learn how Chase is Chase. And we're going to start reacting to his body in the way his body is healing, because it's much better than they ever anticipated. And so they said, 1, he has youth on his side. 2, he's muscular. And when you are more muscular in your body, that helps the healing process as well. And so we are just beyond grateful at where he is to this day. So right now he is sleeping, coming out of his last surgery. Hopefully this is the last one, other than having to be stitched up permanently, what should happen in maybe 2 more days. But Chase is on the up and up and continuing to progress.
Yeah. Have the police given you any updates?
They are not sharing much information with us at this time, which is understandable, but they do have a lot of good information that they're following up on. People are responding to them, and they are working the case very well. I'm very happy with how they are progressing with the case.
That's good. We're talking to Alex Lancaster, father of Chase Lancaster, who was just randomly shot in an event that they were having in Urbana, Maryland, at a community center for seniors. Just young people having a good time, which is what they should be doing at their age. And Chase is now in the hospital recovering. Thank God that he's doing well. Now, if anyone has any information, they can reach out to Detective Patterson at the Frederick County Police Department. His number is 301. We're going to post it on the screen, 301-600-4218. Or you can call the tip line if you want to be anonymous at 301-600-4131. Alex, we're getting ready to go, but I have to hear it from you. What would you like to say to these people that did this thing to Chase?
I have no words. It's indescribable. It's irrational. I can't even comprehend why this would be done to innocent people, just shooting into the crowd, this aimless, hurtful murder. I want you to know you took away a boy's dream. You took away you delayed his dream. Chase was an up and coming junior in high school on the football team. Scouts were looking at him as he played throughout the summer. He had his dream to be like similar to his brother who got a scholarship to play football. He also got an academic scholarship to go to college. Chase wanted to get that same scholarship to play football. And this is a real person that you hurt who did nothing to you, simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. I don't know how you have a conscience and even can maybe, I don't know what you're doing, if you're celebrating it or not. I have no words. I'm very hurt that I just have no words. There are not many positive things I can say. And so I've always been taught you don't have anything positive to say. Don't say anything at all because it's not worth the energy. But we are hurt. You hurt more than just a person. You hurt a beautiful, beautiful young man that had a lot going for him. And that his life has changed forever because of what you've done. So yeah. I have nothing else to say, JC. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Well, we appreciate you joining us. We're gonna be checking in with you in about a week just to kind of get an update on Chase. We've put a call into Detective Patterson. We're gonna definitely talk to him and try to get him to give a statement and just tell us if he can where he is and what we can do to help as the media to try and just get the word out. This guy is somewhere. He's somewhere, and somebody knows something. Somebody knows something.
Yes, and if I may say that just on that curtail right there, segue in, please, if you have any information, call from a Google phone. You can be anonymous calling that number that JC provided for Detective Patterson. You do not want these people to be running at large on the street. It can be your child next or your friend next. It could be you. We want to bring justice, not only to Chase, but we want to bring the danger off the streets. Children should not have access to guns. These were adults according to what has been described, 25 years old. You know, more needs to be done about gun violence. I also want to ask that people please continue to keep chasing your thoughts and prayers. This young man right now, his whole world was football. My concern is that he's going to be depressed, right? He's lost that dream right now, or at least it's really delayed. I would love for him to be very grateful that he's alive, but in reality, he is a young man that is 16 years old, wanting to play football. That's his dream. To give that up right now and find a new purpose is going to be very hard to make that transition to accept that new reality. Please keep him in your thoughts and prayers for that. And if you would like to support, we do have a GoFundMe page that will help in his recovery. We know now he is living. He is going to live through this, and he's going to have a long road to recovery. I forgot to mention that they had to also, when they cut into this, the tie of his vena cava, they cut through his diaphragm muscle, complete that in half. So there's a lot of healing that has to take place in Chase's body. Not impossible. For the word impossible, it says, I am possible.
Right.
Not impossible.
That's right. Chase
is proving everybody wrong so far. We're so thankful for all the prayers, the thoughts, and support, and people are pouring in with food and so many things, and JC yourself with this, giving us a platform. So please, those things, call Detective Patterson today if you can.
Yes.
Thank you.
And we've also posted the GoFundMe account on our website, so you can go to the soundupsidedown.com and find it there for yourself. Make sure you give to this cause. Chase has to. There's still a lot of medical bills that are going to be coming in, and a lot that needs to be done. So we will be pushing that, and we'll do what we can as well.
Thank you so much,
Alex. Thanks for joining us. We're going to be in touch with you in the week or so, and kind of get an update on Chase. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank
God bless you, man.
Likewise, sir.
All righty. Wow. What an interview. Thanks a lot to Alex Lancaster, who took the time out. I mean, as a parent, it's got to be hard to talk about that, knowing that your child was involved in something that wasn't even their fault, just happened to be in a location. I mean, it's like being in the wrong place at the wrong time, but he was actually in the right place. He was going to enjoy himself, you know, with a bunch of other young kids they're just celebrating, going back to school, celebrating their accomplishments thus far and supporting each other. And that's a beautiful thing. And it had to be ruined by a few individuals that have no love for life and have a lust for violence. It's just not necessary. If you know something, please, if you saw what happened, if you know the person that did it, call the Frederick County Police Department. Ask to speak with Detective Patterson, or you can reach him directly at 301-600-4218. Or if you want to remain anonymous, you can call the crime tip line at 301-600-4131. Let's get this person off the street and make him accountable for what he did to Chase. Whether it was a mistake and he was pointing the gun in the wrong place, whatever. He had the gun and he was in a crowd of people, had no business doing what they did. Let's get this person. Let's identify them. If you know who did it, if you know the person, don't be afraid to turn them in. What if it was your family member? If it was your family member, you would want someone to be accountable for what happened to them. Well, in Chase's situation, no different. So if you know anything, call Detective Patterson at the Frederick County Police Department, 301-600-4218, or if you want to remain anonymous, call the crime tip line at 301-600-4131. We'll continue to pray for Chase. We're going to be following up on this in the next few weeks. We'll drop another soundstage as we continue to see how Chase recovers during this all of this ordeal. Last we heard, he had to go into surgery the day before taping. This session, the day before, he was in surgery yet again. And of course, you know, when people go into surgery, that's never a good thing. But every time he bounces back. So we continue to pray for Chase. We continue to pray for his well-being. Don't forget, medical bills are ridiculous. If you've ever had to encounter a hospital or a doctor, you know that his family, they're going to be put through a lot of medical bills. And some of those bills, you know, they may fall behind. They really need your help. And when I say your, I mean me too, all of us. It takes a village to raise a child, right? And so let's all get on board. Go to his GoFundMe page, GoFundMe.com, and you can find it by putting in the pound sign, which is you all call hashtag now, hashtag chasestrong. GoFundMe.com, go in the search bar, hashtag chasestrong, and donate some money today as they continue, as we go through this journey with Chase together for his wellness and his recovery. And so go today, go fund some money. If you know something, say something, and let's help get this person who did what they did to Chase, let's get him off the street, because this person is not safe for you, not safe for me, and definitely they're a danger to their own selves. We'll do another soundstage soon as we continue to follow the progress of Chase as we see him get better. And we believe that in Jesus' name. Make sure that you tell a friend to watch this soundstage. We want to get everyone involved. We want to get the community involved. And we definitely want to get this person off the streets. That's going to do it for this soundstage. Thanks for joining us. Thanks. We continue to pray for the Lancaster family, and make sure that you give to their GoFundMe account. God bless you. We'll do it all again. Bye-bye.